Pain has its own kind of power, and for Qin Zheng, it's a prison cell around his heart. In the heart of a bustling metropolis, he stands as a titan, a ruthless CEO whose cold demeanor masks the agony that shadows his every move. Diagnosed with a rare condition called pure yang body, he possesses strength few can fathom, but at a dire cost. His life is a fragile thread, frayed by relentless suffering. Each board meeting is a battle, each decision a reminder of his mortality. Behind the glint of sharp suits and polished boardroom floors lies a man haunted by his fate, desperate to stave off the inevitable. Tradition looms over him like a dark cloud when an ancient family secret unfolds. Only a woman with a pure yin body, identifiable by a delicate peach blossom-shaped birthmark on her waist, can save him. His grandfather, stern and unwavering, emphasizes the urgency of finding her before time slips away. Qin Zheng dismisses these notions initially, entangled in corporate ambitions, but as pain thunders through him, the idea grows into an obsession. Little does he know, the woman he seeks is closer than he thinks. Lin Yue, a humble young woman nurturing her dreams in a quiet corner of the city, carries the mark of destiny unbeknownst to her. Her life revolves around small joys, like the way sunlight kisses the dewy grass in the morning, or how she hums while weaving baskets at her family's craft shop. Her birthmark, a secret she's always been curious about but never pondered in detail, becomes a bridge to a world far removed from her own. When she is approached with an offer that promises to elevate her family, she is both intrigued and hesitant. Marriage to a man like Qin Zheng, a titan of industry, yet an enigma, feels like a gamble. The wedding day unfurls, a tapestry of contrasting emotions. As Qin Zheng scans the crowd, his heart flutters with indifference, while Lin Yue stands nervously, shining with hope. In his eyes, she's merely a means to an end. In hers, a flicker of soft light amidst corporate shadows. Initially, their interactions are transactional, burdened by unacknowledged emotions. He views her through a lens of necessity, while she attempts to bring warmth, gently chipping away at his walls with her kindness in the aftermath of their union. But as days dissolve into nights, a unique bond slowly blossoms. Lin Yue heartens as she sees glimpses of vulnerability in Qin Zheng, the softening of his gaze during moments of solitude, and the way he turns away to hide the flash of pain when his condition flares. Each shared meal and every genuine smile spins a connection more profound than either anticipated. Yet looming over them is the cruel truth he dares not reveal. Her vitality would sustain him at the risk of her own life. Just when the air between them thickens with unspoken affection, the environment shifts. Qin Zheng's family offers deceptive hope, a solution that promises not only to preserve his life, but also Lin Yue's. He wrestles with temptation at the prospect of saving her, seeking a lie that could eclipse the truth. The deeper they delve into the web of deceit, the more the stakes rise, and the more weight their unspoken feelings carry. One evening, Lin Yue stumbles across an old family tome during her chores. Frosted with dust and time, it unveils the dreadful reality. Their union was meant to drain her life force. Confronting Qin Zheng brings their relationship to the brink. Shocked at his silence, she lashes out but is met with profound sadness in his eyes, a reflection of the sacrifice he's prepared to make to protect her. Desperation ignites within him. Qin Zheng's familial ties dissipate like smoke as he defies their cruel expectations, fueled by the fierce desire to shield Lin Yue from an inevitable demise. Yet time remains unyielding, urging a decision that weighs heavy on his conscience. Then, in a moment fraught with vulnerability, Qin Zheng finds the courage to lay out his heart before her. He proposes a further search for a remedy that may exist outside the confines of their family's dark history. While they grasp for hope together, the contrasts of their worlds converge, and Lin Yue's resolve ignites. She expresses her desire to live fully, hoping to transform their shared anguish into strength. As their bond deepens, there is a bittersweet camaraderie threading warmth through the coldness of their surroundings. In a harrowing moment, a ritual meant to secure her survival presents itself. With heavy hearts and minds entwined, they make a pact that could change everything. But Qin learns too late that his path of self-sacrifice leads to a bitter conclusion. The ancient potion offers no true cure. In the end, Qin faces a stark choice. Save himself at the cost of Lin Yue's life, or embrace the pain and cherish their fleeting time together, redefining love beyond selfish bounds. It becomes a moment of raw choice, of love and sacrifice intertwining against the backdrop of a cruel fate. As he relinquishes hope for his own future, a single tear glistens at the edge of Lin Yue's lash, a sign of the bond they forged in a fracture of time. Months pass, and Lin Yue becomes a beacon of resilience, her life rich with the fragrance of hope and remembrance. She finds solace amid nature, her heart alight with Qin memory, thriving in the stories he left behind. Each step she takes transforms her grief into a source of strength, painting a future alive with compassion and purpose where love endures, complex, raw, and beautiful. As she gazes upward at the vibrant peach blossoms fluttering against the breeze, she remembers him, not as a shadow of sacrifice, but as a chapter of love, ever cherished, ever alive. Destiny has a way of intertwining paths when you least expect it. In a quaint village, Lin Yue leads a simple life, her connection to nature palpable as she cultivates her family's small plot of land. The rustle of the trees and the song of the birds comfort her, providing an escape from the weight of her family's struggles. Despite her engaging smile and a heart brimming with kindness, Lin Yue feels the pressure of responsibility weighing heavily on her shoulders. Her dreams of a better life flicker like fireflies, beautiful yet elusive. Unbeknownst to her, a peach blossom-shaped birthmark on her waist holds the key to a larger tapestry she has yet to understand. One sunlit morning, her life takes a fateful turn when she receives an unexpected summons from the city. A powerful CEO, Qin, has requested to meet her. His grandfather, a man shrouded in traditional wisdom, has arranged their union, promising Lin Yue a life flooded with luxury and possibility. Intrigued yet hesitant, the prospect of leaving behind her humble world fills her with both excitement and trepidation. Her family's financial struggles weigh heavily on her heart, driving her to consider the marriage as a lifeline. Yet, as her mind races, doubts creep in, whispering questions about sacrifice and the unknown. Upon arriving in the bustling city for their first meeting, Lin Yue is mesmerized by the towering skyscrapers and the hasty rhythm of urban life. But the moment she steps into Qin extravagant office, her reverie dissipates. He stands there, an immovable force framed by sleek glass and steel, his expression as cold as his reputation. The tension between them crackles with unspoken expectations. Lin Yue tries to connect, offering a hesitant smile, but Qin icy demeanor remains unyielding. Days turn into weeks as Lin Yue adjusts to her new life. She finds herself in the heart of a world that is starkly different from her own, one filled with gala dinners and corporate politics. Meanwhile, Qin is encircled by his own demons, driven by pain and the urgency of his family's expectations. While family obligations tether him, a part of him feels inexplicably drawn to Lin Yue's warmth, though he dares not express it. Lin Yue, determined to bring light into the shadows of his life, hardens her resolve to break through his impenetrable facade. As she immerses herself in this unfamiliar environment, Lin Yue senses a growing bond. She witnesses fleeting moments of softness in Qin, a slight smile when she talks about the beauty of nature, or genuine surprise when she skillfully handles the complexities of his world. One evening, during a simple stroll in the sprawling city park, she gathers the courage to speak candidly. "You don't have to face everything alone, you know," she murmurs, eyes bright with sincerity. The moment hangs in the air, charged and fragile. For the first time, a crack appears in Qin armor, but anxious about what revealing himself might mean, he retreats. Just when their relationship begins to flourish, an unexpected revelation surfaces. Qin grandfather confesses the truth behind their union, unveiling the ancient belief that Lin Yue's birthmark signifies a pure yin body, that she is destined to remit her life force to sustain his. The chilling truth sends a shockwave through Lin Yue, shattering the fragile bond they built. Her heart races with betrayal as anger and confusion blend under the burden of the revelation. Confronting him, she demands to know if their love is merely a means to an end. The room fills with palpable tension, each word a blade cutting deeper. With emotions spiraling, Qin Zheng struggles to articulate his feelings. "You are not a sacrifice," he insists, his voice laced with desperation. "You mean more to me than just a solution." In that moment, he realizes he must protect her from this fate, leading him to make a choice that could alter their lives forever. Determined, he vows to seek a way out, a solution that allows them both to thrive without sacrificing Lin Yue. He plunges into a world of ancient lore, wisdom, and hidden remedies, drawing upon his grandfather's knowledge. Yet, the more he learns, the more he recognizes the socio-economic and familial boundaries that constrain them both. Lin Yue, seeing his determination and kindness, is torn. She wants to support him, but is engulfed by fear of losing everything she treasures. Amidst the chaos, a pivotal moment unfolds late one night. Lin Yue finds Qin Zheng poring over aged scrolls, exhaustion etched on his face. The weight of their circumstances hangs heavy, and in that vulnerability, she finds clarity. "I choose life, but I choose us too," she whispers, tears streaming down her cheeks. No more secrets. It's a declaration that juxtaposes despair with hope. With their bond renewed, they confront the challenges ahead together, urging each other to define a new path carved by choice rather than obligation. In their shared strength, they navigate the labyrinth of familial expectations, grasping onto dreams of a future grounded in love rather than duty. As seasons change, Lin Yue becomes a beacon of resilience, forging connections within her community and creating alliances that support their cause. Qin Zheng stands by her side, no longer the detached CEO, but a man transformed by a love that defies societal columns of expectation. Their journey culminates in a powerful moment where they stand before his family, refusing to succumb to the ancient mandates. While their future remains uncertain and the struggle for acceptance lingers, they learn to find beauty in the journey itself. Love, they discover, is not merely a transaction or a means to prolong life. It is a choice they both accept with open hearts. And as spring blooms around them, Lin Yue gazes upward, spotting a single peach blossom among the branches. It sways gently in the wind, a reminder that hope can thrive even in the most unlikely circumstances, where two lives, once strangers, are forever intertwined. A marriage bound by obligation can feel more like a prison than a sanctuary. The grand hall sparkled with chandeliers that cast a warm glow over the congregation, yet the atmosphere was heavy with unaddressed tension. Qin Zheng stood at the altar, his expression as rigid as the tailored suit that adorned him. Before him lay a vast sea of elegantly dressed guests, their faces a blur as he focused on the weight of expectation that pressed down on his shoulders. Today was not merely an event, it was a desperate gamble for life. The woman who would walk down the aisle, Lin Yue, held his future in her hands. As the doors swung open, Lin Yue entered, a vision adorned in flowing white, her radiance bright against the coldness surrounding Qin Zheng. Each step she took brimmed with hope, a stark contrast to the turmoil churning within her. She had always yearned for a brighter future, to lift her family from the shadows, but standing before a man whose heart was shrouded in darkness added layers of confusion. She felt the weight of fate on her shoulders, her birthmark, a symbol of sacrifice, marking her as the key to a binding yet unwelcoming alliance. Their eyes met for the first time, and Lin Yue's heart raced. Yet instead of warmth, she sensed a chill that wrapped around Qin Zheng like a cloak. He regarded her with a calculating gaze, devoid of the tenderness she had hoped to find. She felt like a mere vessel in a cruel game of survival. Though she presented her best self, The reality of their union loomed just out of reach, casting a shadow over her spirit. How could she bear the burden of what it meant to be with him? As the ceremony unfolded, Lin Yue recited her vows, words laced with sincerity, hoping her genuine intentions might pierce through his walls. But with every solemn intonation, she saw Qin Zheng's focus waver, his mind still locked in a desperate calculation. How could he survive? His thoughts lingered on the potential cure she represented, drowning out the emotional connection that could spark between them. Suddenly, a flurry of emotions surged when their fingers linked, ephemeral warmth igniting between them. Lin Yue sensed a flicker of something deeper in the way Qin Zheng hesitated, as if the gravity of the moment was unearthing emotions he sought to bury. But just as swiftly as it bloomed, he recoiled, burying any hint of vulnerability beneath a mask of resolve. The knot in Lin Yue's stomach tightened. Her heart pleaded for him to meet her halfway, to share the weight of their shared fate. Yet he remained an island in an emotional ocean. After the ceremony, the reception dazzled with opulence, laughter echoing around them. But Lin Yue felt a profound loneliness gathering around her heart. She moved through the crowd, people congratulating her on her union. Yet she felt detached, as if she were merely a shadow hovering in a vibrant world. Qin Zheng was always nearby, commanding attention without offering any of himself. Moments that should have been filled with joyous celebration were instead overshadowed by uncertainty. An unexpected twist unfolded when Lin Yue overheard a hushed conversation between Qin Zheng and a trusted advisor. "She's a means to an end. Her life force is all I need," he said, the words slicing through her like glass. In that moment, the truth struck her with merciless clarity. She was nothing more than a lifeline to his suffering, a means to secure his future. An array of emotions swirled within her, betrayal, pain, and an aching sense of loss. For the first time, she contemplated the depth of the sacrifice required and whether genuine love could ever surface in their grotesque alliance. She confronted him later that evening, her voice trembling with raw emotion. "Am I really just a solution for you?" Qin Zheng's gaze hardened. "Lin Yue, you will help me survive. This is the only path available," he returned, his voice steely. Yet beneath the surface, Lin Yue could see the tremors of agony lying just below his stoic demeanor. "I want to help you, but not like this." Lin Yue's voice broke as she stepped closer, expressing a longing to understand him. "You must meet me halfway. You can't only see me as a cure." The exchange erupted into a cascade of unspoken truths, the tension between them palpable. As they faced one another, both characters stood at crossroads of their own making. She, trapped in her imposed obligation, and he, burdened by the pressure of expectations. With the stakes raised, the moment expanded to reflect their deepest fears. And then, in that flicker of vulnerability, Qin Zheng realized the price of his cold calculations. The certainty of survival offered no solace if it stripped away the essence of being alive. He was faced with a profound paradox. To accept Lin Yue as more than a vessel, he would have to confront the demons that lurked within himself. Days turned into nights as Lin Yue continued to navigate through the labyrinth of emotions, striving to understand her place in Qin Zheng's world. Meanwhile, he wrestled with a burgeoning conflict, the realization that true breadth of connection awaited him if only he can pry open the shutters of his heart. Their journey, marked by contrasting emotions and bursts of poignant moments, began to deepen their bond against the forces of despair that sought to tear them apart. It was a process, full of missteps, yet laden with growth, a gradual discovery that love, though fraught with complexity, could weave its way through the cracks. As the night drew near once more, a soft breeze drifted through an open window, carrying the scent of blooming flowers. Lin Yue leaned against the balcony, contemplating their fate, the shadows of uncertainty shifting as she pondered what happiness could truly mean. She felt a spark of hope igniting in her heart alongside the dread, her thoughts lingering on the man who had once appeared so distant. Qin Zheng joined her, and they stood together in silence, the moon casting soft light upon their figures. This was a pivotal moment. Unspoken words hung in the air like the scent of jasmine wafting around them. "I don't want to be just someone you need," Lin Yue whispered, her voice wavering but strong. "I wish to be someone you love." With a slow exhale, Qin turned to her, the weight of unspoken fears beginning to lift. For the first time, the walls he built around himself quaked with the possibility of something more. He took a step closer, reaching for her hand, ready to explore the potential of their union, no longer shackled by obligation. Within that moment, a crack formed in the icy facade, a glimmer of hope that perhaps love could blossom amidst the shadows haunting them both. Love is not always a choice. Sometimes it feels more like an obligation. In the elegant confines of their new life, Lin Yue stood in the beautifully decorated living room of their shared apartment, her heart a tumultuous mix of hope and uncertainty. Despite the lavish surroundings, the atmosphere felt cold, mirroring the distance that hung between her and her husband, Qin. He had a reputation for being a formidable and emotionally distant CEO, and she found that truth painfully evident. Every visit to his world of luxury felt like walking through a gallery of fractured expectations. At first, Qin stoic demeanor was an impenetrable fortress, but Lin Yue was determined to break through. In quiet moments, she would watch him, hoping to find a glimpse of the man she believed lay beneath the icy surface. He often worked late into the night, burying himself in spreadsheets and corporate strategies, shielding his heart with the guise of indifference. Lin Yue's compassion pushed her to approach him with small gestures. A cup of warm tea, a soft smile, or light banter about their day. Yet he remained locked behind his walls, measuring each of her kindnesses with suspicion that whispered her sincerity was a sign of weakness. Weeks passed, and their marriage morphed into an intricate dance of avoidance and fragility. Each conversation felt like a delicate negotiation, their words balanced on the edge of vulnerability. Lin Yue longed for him to recognize her gesture, the sacrifices she had made to step into this unexpected life. "You don't always have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, Qin," she said gently one evening, placing a comforting hand on his forearm as he stared out at the city skyline, the sun setting in a resplendent cascade of colors. "Let me help you." He turned to her, surprise flickering in his eyes. "You won't understand, Lin Yue. If I let my guard down, I risk everything. Vulnerability is a liability in my world." His voice was firm but laced with a hint of turmoil, as if he grappled with the very thought of letting her in. A sigh escaped her lips, the weight of his fear settling heavily over them. "But I am here, aren't I? I'm not a liability." The warmth of her sincerity seeped through the air, creating a brief pause in his defenses. For a moment, their eyes locked, two worlds colliding in the tether of possibility. However, Qin quickly shifted his gaze as if retreating from the edge of intimacy, leaving Lin Yue with a gnawing sense of disconnection. Complications arose when Lin Yue encountered an old friend from her village, who marveled at her new life. "You've changed so much, Lin Yue. Are you really happy?" The question struck her like a jolt of electricity, reminding her of the sacrifices made for a vision that felt increasingly distant. That night, she confronted Qin once more, frustration rippling just below her surface. "If you can't let me in, how can we ever make this work?" Her voice trembled with the weight of her plea. He exhaled sharply, tension etched across his features. "It's not that simple. I can't allow anyone to distract me from what I need to achieve." "Need?" Lin Yue's brow furrowed in confusion. "What about what we need? What about us?" It was a turning point, the air between them charged with a longing that felt both foreign and familiar. "Us?" he echoed sharply. It was as if they had been separated by a chasm neither had realized existed, and his guards had risen higher in its face. "You are not a part of my plans." Frustration boiled in Lin Yue. She felt as though she was fighting against a hidden avalanche. "So what's this all been for? A means to an end?" Her voice cracked with the emotional push and pull of confusion and hurt. Unexpectedly, Qin stood quietly, the tension simmering between them, a mirror reflecting each other's vulnerabilities. The distance receded ever so slightly as he finally slumped down on the edge of their couch, his hands gripping the fabric. I don't want to feel weak. I'm afraid that if I let you too close, I won't be able to sacrifice this bond for my survival. A moment of silence enveloped them, punctuated only by their breathing, as Lin Yue took a deep breath and struggled against the pain of his words. It's okay to feel fear, but please don't let it keep you from living. I'm not just here to fill a role. I'm here because... She paused, collecting her thoughts. Because I want you to trust me and to feel safe with me. With each passing day, their hidden wounds began to heal as Qin Zheng found himself drawn to the emotional resilience Lin Yue exuded through every uncertain moment. Slowly, whispers of laughter started to emerge, shared between them like broken light streaming through the cracks of winter ice. As they navigated the minefield of their marriage, moments of genuine connection blossomed among their hard-earned strides. One evening, as they shared a rare, heartfelt dinner, Lin Yue brought up her love for nature, recalling memories of her village's blooming flowers and fields that had once made her feel unstoppable. In a burst of boldness, she suggested they explore the nearby botanical garden together on the weekend. Nature always has a way of grounding us, she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Qin Zheng hesitated for a moment, his resolve cracking as he considered venturing into this new experience with her. The thought of allowing greenery and warmth into their frigid dynamic scared him, yet something in Lin Yue's eagerness warmed his heart. All right, he finally said, surprised by his own willingness to dive into this uncharted territory with her. It was a commitment to let go of his control, even just a little. Their weekend visit to the garden transformed everything. Lin Yue twirled among vibrant flowers, her laughter echoing like music as he watched her discover joy in small moments. To his astonishment, the world seemed brighter through her eyes, a specter of warmth seeping into the icy fortress he had built around himself. As he stepped closer to her, feeling a strange combination of vulnerability and hope, he realized the risk might be worth taking after all. The fleeting fear of losing her or stumbling into emotional chaos no longer paralyzed him. Instead, a rush of connection enveloped them both. Lin Yue saw it in his eyes, a sliver of the man she knew he could be, a man who was still learning to embrace love amidst the storm of expectations. When it was time to leave, Qin Zheng took Lin Yue's hand, holding it tightly. The emotion behind his grip was steady and deliberate. It was a promise that the icy exterior he wore was beginning to thaw, a commitment to not just survive this marriage, but perhaps to genuinely live within it. Lin Yue smiled back at him, knowing they were still only at the beginning. But that spark, fragile yet bright, could forge a path to new horizons. Love often blooms in the silence of unspoken truths. In the quiet elegance of their shared home, Lin Yue began to recognize the subtle changes in her husband, Qin Zheng. Though he wore a facade of indifference, moments crept into their daily lives when his guarded demeanor would slip, revealing the fragility hidden beneath his icy surface. As the weeks passed, small gestures, a sigh of fatigue, a gentle touch when he thought no one was watching, began to weave a delicate bond between them, one she felt drawn to with an intensity that frightened her. They settled into a rhythm of understated companionship. Lin Yue filled their home with warmth, freshly cooked meals, laughter, and the vibrant presence of nature, cultivated from her days in the countryside. Qin Zheng watched her, torn between appreciation and fear. It was as if every time her laughter echoed through the halls, it chipped away at the barriers he had built, exposing his vulnerabilities in a way that made him acutely aware of just how alone he had felt for so long. One evening, as they sat on the couch wrapped in a blanket, Lin Yue spoke about a childhood memory of her grandmother tending to a garden that flourished in vibrant colors. I remember feeling alive in the warmth of the sun, she recounted, a nostalgic smile illuminating her face. It's like the flowers could understand my heart. Qin Zheng's heart tightened at her words. He wanted to share his depths, his struggles with the pain that had shadowed his life. But fear clamped down on his throat. Would any confession reveal too much? Would it lead to her running away? Instead, he buried his emotions deeper, convinced that he was doing her a favor. He studied her expressions, convinced each small show of emotion was a potential weakness. Yet, the kindness she revealed initiated a slow unraveling within him. He began to find comfort in her presence, observing how her compassion unfurled like blossoms blooming in spring, beautiful, yet unpredictable. As their bond strengthened, Lin Yue became increasingly aware of the stillness that sometimes enveloped Qin Zheng. Moments would arise when he'd drift off into thought, his sharp features etched with shadows of despair, fleeting reminders of the darkness he carried. One night, as they lingered in the kitchen over hot tea, she reached out, gently touching his hand. "What burdens you, Qin Zheng?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. In that instant, the gravity of his reality threatened to overwhelm him. He wanted to tell her everything, the relentless pain and the horrifying dilemma that grew like a gnarled thorn in his heart. But he hesitated, aware the truth would shatter the fragile balance they had curated. Instead, he turned the moment aside with a forced smile, redirecting the focus to her. "It's nothing, just business," he lied, ignoring the disappointment that flashed across her face. But the strain of this duplicity weighed heavily on him. Days turned into restless nights as he wrestled with the duality of his feelings and the inevitable truth that loomed above them. He could no longer deny that the connection they shared, fragile yet powerful, was as intoxicating as it was terrifying. Each conversation sparked an illumination within him. Yet in the quiet aftermath, he was haunted by the knowledge that he was condemned to draw from her life force to sustain his own. The turning point came unexpectedly, revealing the depths of their emotional currents. One rainy afternoon, Lin Yue offered to guide him on a hike up a nearby hill where a hidden vista awaited. Eager to escape the confines of the city and its pressures, Qin Zheng reluctantly agreed. As they climbed, the heavy clouds cleared, revealing a breathtaking view of the horizon that stretched like an endless canvas under the sun. "Look at how beautiful it is," Lin Yue exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with wonder. The sight washed over him, igniting emotions he had long buried. But even amid such splendor, an overwhelming sense of dread settled in his chest. What if she found out the truth here, in this moment of absolute beauty? "Lin Yue, he started but faltered, seeing the way she turned to him with such genuine hope, urging him with her eyes to share what lay heavy in his heart. He felt a tightness in the air, as if the landscape itself was beckoning for honesty. In that silence, a storm of conflicted emotions roiled within him, and he could no longer mask his struggles. "Just say it," she urged, taking a step closer to bridge the space between their hearts. "You trust me, don't you?" For a brief heartbeat, time stretched, presenting the fragile opportunity to explore vulnerabilities. The world around them faded away, leaving only the two of them poised on the edge of a precipice. Summoning every ounce of courage, Qin Zheng took a deep breath, the reality of his truth weighing heavily on him. "I'm afraid of losing you," he confessed, voice breaking. "But I'm also terrified of what our union means. You don't realize it yet, Lin Yue. But your life force, it can extend mine. I'm destined to draw on your strength to survive." The words tumbled from his lips, raw and unrefined. The weight of his admission pierced the air with an unbearable intimacy. Stunned silence enveloped them, Lin Yue's expression shifting from shock to a deep well of sorrow. "You've borne this alone?" "I didn't want to burden you with the truth," he replied, anguish etching his features. "I thought keeping you at arm's length would protect you." The weight of the moment hung heavy between them as realization struck her, both agony and insight refining her understanding. "But I don't want to be separated from you," she said, warmth lingering in her gaze. "I chose to be here willingly. You can't face this alone anymore. We need to face it together." Underneath the vast sky, surrounded by the intertwining branches of their stories, Lin Yue extended her hand toward him with unwavering resolve. This was a threshold, either forever defined by fear or united in the turmoil of their circumstances. Slowly, their fingers intertwined, a silent promise wrapped in shared strength. Though the path ahead remained uncertain, Lin Yue knew that together they could navigate the unfathomable depths of pain and love. They stood together, at the brink of something profound, a new chapter unfolding before them that promised both heartache and hope. In trusting each other, they silenced the ghosts that haunted their relationship, embracing the chance to redefine their marriage, not just as a necessity, but as a sacred bond forged through shared trials. The journey ahead would be anything but simple, but both were willing to fight for the love that whispered gently through the tumultuous winds of change. Love can light the way, but family can cast the darkest shadows. As Lin Yue and Qin Zheng emerged from a period of tentative connection, their relationship began to flourish. Simple joys bloomed in the warmth of shared laughter and quiet moments, building a fragile yet vibrant interconnection between their hearts. Lin Yue reveled in the joy of discovering who Qin Zheng truly was beneath the layers of ice. With each fleeting touch and lingering gaze, she hoped that their love could withstand any trial. However, just when the air felt richer with promise, shadows from the past surged forth. Qin Zheng's family, cloaked in traditions and expectations, intruded at the most inopportune moment. Their concerns for their legacy weighed heavily upon him. Late one evening, in the silence of their living room, his grandfather strode in, intensity etched into his features. "You must seek out the ancient texts," he commanded, urgency fueling his voice. "There are secrets that can rid you of your curse without harming Lin Yue. It's our only option." Qin Zheng's heart tightened at the mention of the curse. A bond of urgency mingled with desperation to protect Lin Yue from his reality. He disassociated from those thoughts, but felt the gravity of his family's insistence. Perhaps there was still a way to evade the looming tragedy. With hope rekindled, he set out on a path to uncover the hidden secrets of their lineage tucked away in dusty tomes and age-old scrolls. Days morphed into sleepless nights as Qin Zheng plummeted deeper into his family's past, poring over illustrations of rites and medicines promising renewal. Lin Yue could sense his growing obsession, but was surprised by his avoidance of her questions. She would often find him poring over pages, his brow furrowed in concentration, a blend of hope and dread shimmering in his eyes. "Qin Zheng," she ventured one evening, her voice tinged with worry. "What are you searching for? I can help if you let me in." For a fleeting moment, their eyes met, and Lin Yue discerned the turmoil brewing beneath his stoic facade. But he quickly redirected his gaze, avoiding the vulnerable thread unspooling between them. "There are things you wouldn't understand," he replied, his words sharp yet soaked in regret. Hurt flashed through Lin Yue, but she resolved to remain steadfast, refusing to let him slip away. The affection they had cultivated felt like a fragile blossom, easily crushed under the weight of his burdens. But she believed love mandated honesty. As he scoured through the ancient texts, Qin Zheng uncovered alarming revelations. His family's history was rife with secrets cloaked in darkness. Each page revealed a sinister truth, revealing deceit woven into the very fabric of his lineage. The more he learned, the more he found himself ensnared in a web of manipulation crafted by those he thought he could trust. At times, he wondered if the family he had sought to protect was the very source of his suffering. Then one night, restful slumber eluded him, his thoughts swirling with the weight of his discoveries. Lin Yue stirred next to him, emboldened by a sense of concern. "Qin Zheng, don't you see?" she whispered, pulling him from his internal tempest. "You're pushing me away just when we could be facing this together. What are you scared of?" He inhaled deeply, conscious of the growing chasm between hope and despair. "I don't want to drag you into this chaos." He hesitated, grappling for the right words. "It's dangerous for you. I can't let them hurt you." "Then help me understand," she replied, voice steady yet pleading. "If you really care about me, let me shoulder this burden alongside you." In her eyes, he caught a glimpse of unwavering resolve, yet guilt crashed over him like a wave. If she knew the truth, that his survival relied on taking her life force, she might choose to leave him in a heartbeat. The critical moment arrived when he unearthed an ancient ritual promising to sever the bond that tied him to Lin Yue's life. It pulsed with the essence of desperation, yet as he read the scrolls, another truth emerged. The ritual came with a hidden cost, one that could leave Lin Yue bereft of vitality. Feeling the heavy hand of fate, Qin Zheng stood alone at a crossroads, besieged by conflicting emotions. Would he sacrifice the love they had built to save himself? As he sat in despair amid the scattered texts, the flickering candlelight reminded him of the warmth Lin Yue had brought into his life. When Lin Yue entered the room, a question hung in the air, a tentative vulnerability overtaking him. For so long he had kept her at a distance, yet here she was, unwavering. "Are you afraid of what this will mean for us?" she asked, her voice soft yet unwavering. The truth cascaded from his lips in a rush that he could no longer contain. "I've uncovered the way to free myself, but it could cost you everything. I don't want that, Lin Yue. Not for my life. Do you think I'd want to abandon you in your darkest hour?" she cried, tears welling in her eyes. "You are my heart. We can't allow fear to dictate our fate. We should choose each other above all else." In that charged moment, as vulnerability and raw emotion mingled, Qin Zheng recognized the depth of their love and the darkness that threatened to shroud it. He had spent so long trying to protect her that he almost forsook her right to choose. Could he truly allow their lives to be altered forever by the shadows of their past? Their eyes locked, and suddenly, everything felt unbearably alive in its fragility. With his heart hammering in his chest, he took Lin Yue's hands in his, realizing this was more than just a choice of survival. It was an embrace of love, acceptance, and a pledge to fight against whatever dangers lay on the horizon. "Then let's find a way through together." His words lingered, wrapping around them as solid resolve nestled deep in his heart. In that moment of profound clarity, they both understood that love was not merely about protection or fear, but rather a journey where hope could surpass despair, an adventure worth embarking upon, no matter the cost. With the stakes higher than ever, they were ready to face the shadows that loomed before them, united and seeking their own light in the dark. Love thrives in the shadows cast by fear. In the quiet elegance of their home, Lin Yue felt the weight of an unseen tension that wrapped around Qin Zheng like a dark shroud. With each passing day, the distance between them grew, despite moments of tenderness that occasionally flickered like candles in the dark. Lin Yue diligently cared for their shared life, nurturing it with dreams of a future filled with light. Yet she sensed an internal storm raging within Qin Zheng, the struggle etched in the lines of his face and the way he often retreated into silence. One stormy afternoon, a misunderstanding ignited the fragile calm between them. Lin Yue, weary of his growing detachment, confronted him during dinner. "You're acting like I'm invisible, like I don't matter," she exclaimed, frustration spilling from her lips. The tension in the air thickened as Qin Zheng's gaze darkened, his facade crumbling under the pressure of her words. "I'm trying to protect you," he shot back, the urgency in his voice catching her off guard. The intensity of his emotions surprised Lin Yue, and for a moment they both stood frozen, the truth of their insecurities hanging heavily in the air. "Protect me from what?" she pressed, her heart racing. She had always known he harbored a burden, but understanding the depths of his fears struck a chord within her. "I want to be your partner, not someone you hide from." The frustration morphed into a desperate plea as Qin Zheng's carefully constructed walls cracked open, exposing the turmoil underlying his resolve. "You don't understand what it means to be me," he said, voice barely above a whisper, yet it resonated with palpable intensity. "Every moment spent with you feels tainted by what I really am." Lin Yue's mind raced. 1,000 thoughts echoed within her, striking chords of confusion and concern. "You think you can just push me away? Don't you see how much I care?" The confrontation stirred something deep within Lin Yue, and an unexpected determination arose. She stepped closer, a spark igniting between them. "Let me help you. I can't stand watching you fight this battle alone." But destiny had woven a perilous thread between them, and as the emotional storm brewed, Qin felt the weight of his secret press harder on his chest. He caught the depth of her unwavering gaze and couldn't shake the fear that sharing the truth could shatter everything. She remained blissfully unaware of the true cost of their union, the peril that lurked behind every moment of intimacy they shared. The air crackled as their eyes locked, a torrent of emotions roiling between them. Lin Yue reached out, placing her hands gently on his shoulders. In that moment, as their lives intertwined, it was the embodiment of silent promises and shared fears. "Together," she whispered, the word hanging like a lifeline. Yet the shadows loomed larger as a sudden clarity struck Qin, a realization of the potential destruction his love could bring to Lin Yue's life. The echoes of his family's secrets surged forward, memories of a life spent protecting others swirling around him like fog. Their shared bond was tinged with horror and unrelenting responsibility. "I don't want to lose you," he finally admitted, anguish seeping through his resolve. "But I can't let you bear the burden of my curse. I would never forgive myself if you suffered." His breath hitched, emotions raw and unguarded. A piercing silence enveloped them, and Lin Yue's heart ached at the realization that his fears stemmed from the dark fate holding him in its grasp. "What if I want to share that burden?" she replied quietly. "What if I choose to stand by your side?" But before he could respond, another wave of understanding flooded over him, crashing against the walls he had painstakingly built. He was faced with a choice that endangered everything they could become. Torn between the desire to protect her and the pull of their connection, he felt as if he were teetering on the edge of a precipice. Their emotional confrontation drew them closer, and for a brief moment, hope danced between them, igniting a bond stronger than their shared fears. Lin Yue's words lingered in the room, echoing the strength and vulnerability they both needed to embrace. Yet, Qin couldn't shake the shadow that loomed over them, promising heartache if he didn't take drastic measures to shield her. As the storm outside rumbled, another harsh reality beckoned. "A choice must be made," he whispered, determination settling within him. "I will find a way to protect you, even if it means fighting things you cannot yet comprehend." Lin Yue's heart sank. "What does that mean?" she asked, her voice trembling with uncertainty. "I have to uncover the depths of my family's history." His eyes hardened, filled with a resolve that set them both on a path fraught with danger. "I need to ensure you won't face the consequences of my plight." Tension hung in the air as they stood inches apart, drawn together yet fighting against the forces that sought to tear them apart. Their bond, solidified by the revelation of their vulnerabilities, set forth a tumultuous journey far from clear. Each knew they faced peril, yet neither could deny the deepening connection between them. As the thunder rolled beyond the walls of their home, the battle for their love had only just begun. Together, they faced an uncertain horizon, one where love offered no guarantees, yet held the potential for redemption, connection, and perhaps an answered plea to join their fates in defiance of the darkness. Love can unfold like a blossom, but also carry the weight of sacrifice. In the heart of a bustling city, Lin Yue's life had become entwined with Qin, their union blossoming in the quiet warmth of shared moments and whispered dreams. Yet, beneath the surface of their newly forged bond, lay shadows of family expectations and sinister legacies waiting to be unveiled. Lin Yue worked effortlessly to support her husband, offering warmth and companionship, hopeful that love would grow strong enough to withstand any challenge. Her world shifted when she accidentally stumbled upon an ancient family record, hidden within the confines of Qin's study. As her fingers traced the intricate characters, dread settled in her stomach. The words leapt off the page with urgency, revealing the grim truth. Their marriage was not founded on mutual affection, but on a desperate arrangement to prolong Qin's life by drawing upon her vitality. Shock coursed through her veins, intermingled with heartache that threatened to consume her. That evening, with a lump in her throat and tears brimming in her eyes, Lin Yue confronted Qin. "Why didn't you tell me the truth?" Her voice trembled with the finality of painful realization. The vulnerability in her eyes pierced through Qin's protective barrier. His expression morphed from surprise to guilt, shadows of despair washing over his features. "I wanted to protect you," he admitted, the weight of remorse heavy in his tone. "I thought keeping you safe from the truth would shield you from the darkness of my fate. Safeguarding me by sacrificing me?" Lin Yue's heart swelled with pain, a tempest of betrayal and love entwined within. "You act as if this is a burden only you bear, but I am not just a means to your survival. I have a choice too, don't I?" Qin Zheng's eyes mirrored her agony, filled with conflict. He was caught between a fierce desire to protect Lin Yue and the crushing guilt of using her life to sustain his own. "You don't understand the extent of the risks involved," he replied, anguish lacing his words. "This is a curse that irrevocably alters everything." In that moment, the air thickened with unsaid emotions, a chasm widening between them. Lin Yue's heart raced as the reality of their union took root. She was destined to be a sacrificial pawn in a game heavier than any love story. As the room spun with the weight of their confrontation, she felt trapped in a cruel arrangement, wrestling with loyalty to the man she loved and an innate instinct to fight for her own life. "I need you to choose me, Lin Yue," Qin Zheng pleaded, desperation lacing his voice. "Please, I am terrified of losing you, but I'll find a way to make this right." "By sacrificing my life?" she shot back, emotions pouring forth uncontrollably. "I want to be with you, but not at that cost. How can you ask me to make that decision?" The pain in her voice resonated through the air, mingling with the shadows of their circumstances. An unexpected twist of realization washed over Lin Yue as she looked deeply into Qin Zheng's eyes. In his struggle, she saw a man who fought not only for his life, but against an overwhelming legacy. Her heart swelled with understanding, yet the ache of dread gnawed at her. How could love flourish amid such dark revelations? "If you truly love me," she whispered, grounding herself, "then set me free. Let me live." The words hung in the air, their weight echoing with profound significance. You have to understand that love also means allowing the other person to choose their path. Hope and despair collided within Qin Zheng as he fought against the knowledge that his reality could swallow her whole. "You're the only thing giving my life meaning," he confessed, vulnerability bursting forth. "I cannot bear the thought of living without you in this world." The rift between them widened, almost palpable as their hearts ached in parallel. Lin Yue wrestled with the pain of potential loss, feeling unmoored and desperate amidst the tempest of emotions. In the warmth of their connection, she also found a clarity of purpose. She could not be a life source. She had to be a partner. In a desperate attempt to bridge the chasm separating them, she took his hands, grounding both of them in their shared reality. "We refuse to let our love be defined by sacrifice, Qin Zheng. Together we must confront this darkness. Both of our lives depend on it." As the weight of dark realizations settled over them, neither of them could escape the complexity of what lay ahead. Their love, now burdened by revelation, became a force that urged them toward a collective struggle. They had the power to shift the narrative of their lives if only they could wrestle with the truth of what that would mean. Walking a path fraught with peril, they stood on the precipice of a decision that would forever change their course. In the depths of heartache, Lin Yue's determination ignited an ember of hope, urging them to confront the ghosts of their past together. Yet, lingering uncertainties taunted their dreams. A reminder that while love may carry the potential for redemption, it also meant navigating through the shadows hand in hand, even as their worlds threatened to unravel. They had yet to discover what lay beyond the darkness, but together, they would forge their own story. To love is to fight for those we can't imagine living without. Standing at the edge of a quiet forest, Qin Zheng gazed into the distance, heart heavy with an unbearable burden. The weight of his family's legacy pressed down on him, a chain binding him to outdated expectations and desperate traditions. His beloved Lin Yue, radiant yet shackled by the course of fate laid before her, fought for her survival in a world he, too, strived to protect. With the knowledge that their union could lead to her sacrifice, he refused to accept such a grim future. Every day, Qin Zheng retreated deeper into the realm of ancient texts and lost remedies, a world where mystical arts promised salvation from the darkness that threatened to engulf them. Night after night, he delved into scrolls filled with forgotten wisdom, searching for an elusive solution to save Lin Yue without risking her life. His days blurred into an endless cycle of research and meditation, a relentless pursuit for answers that often left him cold and weary. However, as he worked tirelessly, whispers from his family echoed ominously in his mind, warning him that the union between himself and Lin Yue was an abomination. They believed their love could never transcend the confines of tradition, an issue born from a cursed lineage. Struggling between defiance and despair, Qin Zheng began to feel the harsh sting of isolation from both family and peers. Each visit to the corporate office was a reminder of their disdain, a world where whispers felt like daggers that pierced the very foundation of his resolve. Late one evening, as he pored over a tattered scroll featuring long-lost practical remedies against life-draining curses, Lin Yue entered the room. Concern etched her brow as she watched him, eyes sunken, clothes rumpled. "Qin Zheng," she started softly, "you need to rest. You can't save me by pushing yourself to the brink." Her gentle voice cut through his fog, and her presence warmed the corners of his icy solitude. He turned to face her, a storm of emotions raging within. "You don't understand," he burst out, the desperation slipping through his carefully maintained facade. "If I fail, you will pay the price. I can't let that happen." The pleading in her eyes ignited an unexpected surge of anger in him. "But I won't be a damsel in distress, Qin Zheng. I deserve a life filled with love, not one bolstered by sacrifice." The words cut deep, echoing the truths he had been hiding from himself. They lingered heavily between them, igniting a crack in the walls he had frantically built to shield her from the pain of reality. As the seed of frustration blossomed, Lin Yue stepped closer. "Together we are stronger," she insisted, voice unwavering. "Whatever battles lie ahead, I want to face them by your side." Just then, a realization struck Qin Zheng. He was not just battling external forces, but also the internal demons that haunted him, sowing seeds of doubt concerning the worthiness of his own love. Could he conjure the courage to protect the very one he cherished, while confronting the demons forged in fear and despair? Motivated by the intensity of their confrontation, he sank back into his studies with renewed determination. However, the more he explored, the more he uncovered. Ancient accounts of mystical rituals came with horrifying conditions, including complex sacrifices that could render both their existences vestiges of a morbid bargain. Each new revelation weighed heavily upon him, sending tendrils of doubt coiling around his heart. One fateful night, while transcribing a particularly ominous passage, Qin Zheng stumbled across a reference to an ancient ritual that claimed to sever the bond between life and vitality without harming the one they loved. Enthralled by a flicker of hope, he felt invigorated, until he realized the final line of the passage warned of adverse repercussions that could rip apart the very fabric of his and Lin Yue's lives. His heart sank further, tethered between hope and despair. As days turned into weeks and tension mounted, Lin Yue sensed Qin Zheng's turmoil intensifying. Paranoia festooned the air between them as she searched for a way to connect. She needed to convey that she would stand by him, endure the challenges ahead, and confront any shadows lurking in the corners. In an unexpected moment of vulnerability, she confided in him one evening. "My grandmother used to say that love isn't just something you hold on to. It's something you both grow into," she shared softly. Her words pierced the silence like sunlight breaking through dark clouds, striking a chord within him. "I want our love to flourish alongside the trials we face." Caught in the intertwining web of their emotions, Qin Zheng realized he had underestimated the strength of their bond. He opened up to her about his darkest fears, the heritage that chained him, and the chants of tradition meant to veil their love. Lin Yue listened intently, her heart aching for him as they embraced the tangled threads of hope and despair together. Yet as they closed the gap between their hearts, they couldn't ignore the dangers looming ahead. The escalating pressure from his family grew increasingly suffocating. They saw his deepening attachment to Lin Yue not as a strength, but as a weakness. In a particularly haunting confrontation, one of his relatives scoffed, "Your union is a curse. Love can't erase tradition." Defiance ignited within Qin Zheng. No longer would he allow fear to dictate his choices or bind him to a pessimistic fate dictated by others. "Then I'll forge a new path," he declared, his voice unwavering. In that moment of profound clarity, Lin Yue stood beside him, a testament to their united front. Their love transformed into a powerful instrument of change. Together they would fight against the tides of tradition, confront doubts, and carve out a future rooted in the strength they discovered in each other. Together, they would embrace the unknown, a fierce journey imbued with hope, resilience, and the promise of love, igniting embers that challenged the shadows they faced. Their love wasn't simply a bond meant for survival, it was something worth fighting for, a flickering flame destined to illuminate their path in the darkness. In love, the hardest choices are often the most selfless. In the dim light of a private chamber deep within his family estate, Qin Zheng faced the assembled disapproval of his relatives. Their disdain fell heavily upon him, like stones cast into a still lake, creating ripples of tension that threatened to capsize everything he held dear. The air was thick with the echoes of disappointment, the whispers of betrayal creating a suffocating atmosphere he could scarcely breathe in. Since their union had begun, Qin Zheng had struggled with the knowledge of how his family viewed Lin Yue, as nothing but a vessel to sustain his fading life. His heart tightened at the thought, but now the time for silence had ended. "You've plotted against me, haven't you?" he accused, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions raging within him. This marriage was never about love. It was a means to an end. Glares pierced him, thick with tension as he addressed their underhanded intentions. "We seek only to protect our lineage," an elder sternly replied, arrogance lacing their voice. "Your union with that girl will only bring disgrace and sorrow. You must return to the path laid for you." Amid the confrontation, a fire ignited within Qin Zheng. He resolved to defy their suffocating traditions. "No, I will not let this union be defined by your manipulation." "I love Lin Yue," he asserted, standing unwavering against his family's pressures. With a sense of urgency driving him, Qin Zheng began his search for alternative solutions, searching through musty tomes and ancient texts with renewed vigor. What if he could find a way to sever the curse bound to his life without sacrificing Lin Yue's energy? He plunged into the world of esoteric knowledge, learning about obscure rituals and remedies whispered through the ages. As he delved deeper, he discovered a fragmented passage referring to a mystical ritual that had the potential to save both their lives. It sounded promising, a glimmer of hope amidst a sea of despair. However, the further he explored, the more difficult the truths became. He soon learned that while this ritual might save them both from dire consequences, it required an unspeakable sacrifice, his own heart, a grim revelation that pulled the breath from his lungs. Each word he read echoed like a thunderclap, leaving him rattled and overwhelmed, yet it also filled him with a twisted sense of clarity. The resolve to protect Lin Yue surged through him stronger than ever. Internal turmoil clawed at him, forcing him to confront the gravity of his decision. He fought not only external opposition but his own demons, the memories of a life tainted by family expectations and a cruel heritage. Doubts whispered in his mind, suffocating the notion of love as he grappled with the idea of his potential demise. "Qin Zheng!" Lin Yue's voice broke through his dark contemplation one evening as she barged into the room. Concern cut through her features. "You've been distant. Tell me what's happening." He turned, unable to conceal the turmoil waging within him. "I'm trying to find a way to save us," he admitted, clenching his fists to suppress the wave of emotion threatening to consume him. "Save us?" Her eyes searched his, reflecting apprehension. What do you mean by that? The urgency in her voice only further escalated the tension between them. Wrestling against the tide of fear and guilt, he revealed the truth about the ritual, the sacrifices that it entailed. "I can save us both, Lin Yue," he said, voice firm despite the weight of despair. "But it will cost me everything." Silence enveloped them, the reality of his words hanging heavily in the air. Lin Yue stepped back, her heart pounding as she processed the weight of his declaration. "You can't be serious." "I'd rather face the darkness alone than let you suffer," he insisted, a strain of desperation creeping in. "I would choose this fate if it meant you could live freely." Tears welled in Lin Yue's eyes as she fought against the surge of anguish. "And what about me? Do you think I'd want to live a life without you? I'm not just a prize to be won or a source of life. I'm your partner. You have to allow me to stand by you in this. We can find another way." In this moment of clarity, with the weight of their love pressing down on him, Qin felt the ripples of doubt recede. He had always seen protection as a solitary burden, but Lin Yue illuminated the path of resistance they could forge together. Her loyalty and determination ignited a flicker of hope within him that he desperately clung to, even amidst darkness. Yet, it was hard to ignore the growing distance as he wrestled with ambiguity. This journey was far from simple. Love was entwined with sacrifices and expectations. He wanted nothing more than to promise her a bright future together. But time was a cruel mistress. As they faced one another in silence, Qin heart raced with the knowledge that he had to make the hardest choice of all. Standing on the precipice of fate, he had to decide whether to shield her from the consequences of their love, or to risk everything for the possibility of a life they could share. The weight of that choice settled on his shoulders, a quantum of realization that if love was not worth sacrificing for, was it even worth pursuing? This crossroads would define them. Ultimately, the pull of his heart was strong. "I will do everything I can to save us, Lin Yue," he vowed, determination igniting in his chest. Yet a storm brewed on the horizon, one that could unravel everything. As they stood together, he finally understood. True love demanded more than mere sacrifice. It required a unity of souls willing to face the tempest, hand in hand, against the darkness threatening to swallow them whole. Even amidst uncertainty, he discovered clarity in their shared struggles, and the bond that held them together shone with renewed light, a flicker of hope that love, though tinged with sacrifice, could still pave the way for a future they would fight to co-create. Love can be as binding as it is liberating, but sometimes it demands a heavy price. The sun hung low in the sky, casting golden hues across the lush garden where Lin Yue and Qin had spent many moments of solace and joy. Now, it felt as though the impending shadows were closing in, threatening to swallow their happiness whole. Lin Yue had come to realize the depths of Qin sacrifice, a truth that weighed heavily on her heart. He intended to remove himself from her life to preserve her future, to protect her in a way that felt like an exquisite betrayal. When Lin Yue finally pieced together his intentions through frantic conversations and hushed admissions, a torrent of emotions surged within her. Fear, anger, and above all, a fierce, unwavering love. How could he even consider leaving her behind? The thought was unbearable, and she could feel the chasm of separation widening between them. She rushed to find him, her heart pounding in protest against the notion of being without him. "Qin!" she called out, her voice breaking the tranquility of the garden. He turned to her, the resolute look in his eyes faltering as he saw her approach. "You can't do this. You can't just walk away. I won't let you." "I'm trying to do what's best for you," he replied, the crack in his icy facade evident as pain laced his words. "You deserve a life free of burdens, Lin Yue." "Deserve? What about what I want?" She stepped closer, desperation fueling her voice. "I want to be with you, no matter the cost." The weight of their emotions crashed together like waves against a rocky shore. Qin could see the determination in her eyes, filled with a love that felt both empowering and suffocating. "You have no idea what it means to sacrifice everything, Lin Yue," I won't let you pay the price of my decisions." With each word, the realization expanded in Lin Yue's chest. She understood his intentions, the fierce desire to shield her from truths entrenched in darkness. But she also felt her own heart swell with purpose. "I can choose to stand by you. I am not afraid of the price if it means I can remain at your side." In that fierce moment, her unwavering loyalty ignited a flicker of resolve within Qin Zheng. But guilt threatened to drown it. He had kept her in the dark, thinking he could protect her from the burdens he'd borne throughout his life. Yet, as she fought to bridge the expanse between them, he felt his own resolve waver. "Even if I find a way to save both of us, it could cost me everything," he confessed, the words tumbling forth with uncharacteristic vulnerability. "An ancient ritual exists, but it requires the ultimate sacrifice from me. I won't let you become a part of that bargain." The tension thickened, a wave of vulnerability washing over them as Lin Yue grappled with his admission. "That's not love, Qin Zheng," she whispered, tears pooling in her eyes. "A life without you is not a life I want." Each heartbeat felt like a drum echoing their shared fate. In that raw moment, they stood poised at the precipice of a choice that could irrevocably alter their course. "I don't want a life where I am the reason for your demise," he said, anguish etched across his features. Lin Yue's heart raced as she fought against the poignant reality unfolding before her. "We can find a way together," she insisted, gripping his hands. "If you choose to sacrifice everything, it won't save me. It will only leave me with the emptiness of your absence." As the weight of their love hung suspended in the space between them, a trickle of doubt began chipping away at Qin Zheng's certainty. Could love truly thrive amid choices that shattered their dreams? Would walking away truly free Lin Yue? Or was it a crueler fate that awaited them both? With urgency swelling in her chest, Lin Yue leaned in, her voice fierce, yet tender. "I choose you, Qin Zheng. I choose our love against all odds." She took a shaky breath. "Let's face this together." In the lingering silence, the truth of their choice crystallized within the poignant space, binding their hearts closer. Lin Yue felt the burning fire of their connection, illuminating the truth they both needed to embrace. And despite the heartache poised to overtake them, she chose to defy destiny. Outside, thunder rumbled ominously, mirroring the chaotic storm surging within. But Lin Yue remained resolute, cradling the wish for a different future. A future where love didn't demand sacrifice but offered strength to overcome. As the sun set, casting a warm glow across the garden, the two lovers stood united, poised at the crossroads of uncertainty. Even if paths diverged ahead, each would carry the weight of the other's love, a steadfast reminder of the bond they forged in defiance of fate. The shadows remained, but so did their hope, a flicker of light that promised to navigate them through any darkness, hand in hand. Grief can either break us or transform us into something stronger. Months had passed since that fateful day when Lin Yue lost Qin Zheng, but she had emerged not just surviving but thriving, sculpting her sorrow into resilience. The quaint village nestled among the hills had become more than just a backdrop. It transformed into a living testament to their love, where the memories of a lost future lingered among the whispering winds. Each day she awoke to the chirping of birds and the rustle of leaves, their symphony reminding her of the brightness Qin Zheng had brought to her life. Daily, she wandered into the shimmering embrace of nature, where wildflowers bloomed in abundance, always searching for a piece of him. With every footstep on the familiar paths they once explored together, she sensed echoes of his spirit enveloping her, urging her forward, urging her to live fully. Determined to carry on his legacy, Lin Yue began reaching out to her community, pouring her heart into acts of kindness that reflected the warmth she had experienced with Qin Zheng. She volunteered at the local shelter, organizing events that uplifted the spirits of the townsfolk. Each small gesture, a meal shared, a listening ear, a warm smile, served as a tribute to his memory. In those moments, she felt a connection to him that transcended her grief. "Here you go, Mrs. Kim," she said one sunny afternoon, handing a steaming bowl of soup to an elderly neighbor. The woman's eyes sparkled with gratitude, and Lin Yue felt a moment of joy swelling in her chest. That warmth was reminiscent of the times Qin Zheng had looked at her, his gaze filled with unconditional love and admiration. But buried within this newfound strength was a tumult of emotions. Some days, the ache of losing him was so profound it felt like an unwelcome companion. She often found herself at the tree they had planted together, a sturdy cherry blossom. The tree had survived winter's harsh grasp to produce delicate blossoms that danced in the breeze, and Lin Yue would sit beneath it, feeling Qin Zheng's presence wrap around her like a protective cloak. "Why did you have to go?" she would whisper to the wind, tears shimmering on her lashes. One afternoon, while preparing to host a community gathering, she stumbled upon an old trunk filled with trinkets from their shared life. Amongst the keepsakes lay a note from Qin Zheng, written days before his final decision. Her heart pounded as she unfolded it, setting the stage for a wave of realization. He had always encouraged her to embrace the world, to fight for happiness despite the burdens he carried. "There's so much love left to share," the letter read, "even if I'm not there." Those words suddenly amplified the sense of purpose she had cultivated, driving her determination to honor him. As the community gathered for the event, Lin Yue watched faces light up with joy. It reminded her of summer nights spent laughing under the stars with Qin Zheng. The energy that pulsed through the crowd reignited the flames of hope within her. She had not only transformed her grief, but had also sparked joy within others, inspiring them to carry their own shadows with grace. Yet despite the overwhelming joy, she couldn't escape the gnawing realization that existence was a constant balancing act of light and darkness. Lin Yue felt a shadow lingering at the edges, a twinge of apprehension about the future. A future without Qin Zheng at her side. During the gathering, she caught sight of a stranger observing her from a distance. An intense gaze locked onto hers, a quiet yet profound recognition reverberating through the air. He approached, drawn closer by the warmth radiating from the gathering. "You've created something beautiful here," he remarked, a hint of admiration in his expression. As they began to talk, she learned he had recently lost a loved one as well. There was an undeniable connection, both of them grappling with loss while daring to reach for joy once more. "Just like you, I didn't think I could feel this way again," he confessed, vulnerability rolling off his words. "But grief doesn't have to weigh us down forever. We can channel it into something special." Those words rang like a quiet revelation, and Lin Yue felt her heart swell with a flicker of hope that life moved in cycles, that with every ending, a new beginning awaited. The conversation sparked a realization. Her journey would not erase the memory of Qin Zheng, but could perhaps illuminate a path filled with potential and shared healing. As the sun sank below the horizon, Lin Yue stood with the community around her, each individual a testament to love, resilience, and growth. She imagined a future no longer tinged with sorrow, but instead colored by hope. As she looked up at the night sky, she swore she felt Qin Zheng's spirit there, a flicker amidst the stars, encouraging her to live for the both of them. In that moment, Lin Yue understood that while grief might echo through her heart, it would not define her. Choosing to honor him meant stepping boldly into the life that waited ahead, holding his memory like a lantern to illuminate her path. With every act of kindness, every laugh shared, and every challenge faced, she would ensure that the love they shared would ripple out into the world, forever illuminated in the hearts of those who crossed her path. The journey of acceptance and healing had begun, and she would walk it with grace and gratitude, ever mindful of the beautiful love that had shaped her destiny. If you had to choose between saving the one you love or saving yourself, what would you do? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more emotional stories.